What's going on, everyone? Now, you probably read this title and you're like, oh my god, here's this guy again doing another video about the same phone that he's been talking about for years now. And you do have a point, I'm not gonna lie, right? But I've had a lot of questions, people commenting, and they always do this. Every single phone I ever get, they're like, why don't you use this phone? You already have it. Why don't you use this phone? You have a better phone. Why don't you use that? And I've been getting these questions for probably like several years now, I'm not gonna lie. But most prominently, I've had this question just earlier this year when I actually bought an iPhone 10 and I really didn't even use it. I had an iPhone 7 Plus at the time as my main phone, and I was already keeping the iPhone 10. It was like on my desk for like weeks. And I made a video at that time too of like why I didn't upgrade to the iPhone 10 even though I was using an iPhone 7 Plus, so like why wouldn't I use it? And I pretty much boiled down that main question and main answer to, there was no urgency. There was no urgency for me to go and upgrade to it. And I feel like it is the same exact case for the iPhone XR. Now, some people might say the iPhone XR isn't as good of a phone as the iPhone 10, and some people might think the iPhone XR is a better phone. I'm one of those people where I think the iPhone XR is just not as good as the iPhone 10 from last year. So that is my opinion. Now, really, the same type of philosophy relates in this case too. There's just no urgency. In the case of the 7 Plus versus the iPhone 10, the iPhone 10 was 100% a better phone overall. It was just super expensive, and I just didn't really feel like holding that expensive of a phone. Believe it or not, I actually bought the iPhone 10 like a couple months ago cheaper than what the iPhone XR was sold for retail price. And I actually sold my 7 Plus for around the same price that I got the iPhone XR. That's how good of a deal I got the iPhone 10 for. I meant to say 10, I misspoke, I just said XR, but. And this had to have been, I think, in like June or July. So this was way before the iPhone XR announcement. And even at that point, even though I got a really good deal on it, I still didn't use it. And I kind of have the same case here now. So the main reason why I still own the iPhone XR, even though I don't even use it, is because I can make videos on it. And I pretty much bought it for you guys, so I can keep you guys informed of basically how this phone runs, how the OS versions are, and everything like that. And yeah, it was a pretty big investment. I mean, it's a lot of money you gotta waste on a phone like this. But I also figured, like, if I don't even keep it for that long, if nobody even wants to hear about it or anything like that, I might just like resell it. So there's really no urgency, and people might say, oh, then you just wasted your money, this and that. But I already pretty much made my money back off the videos I made of it earlier, before, like during the release and everything. So the money wasn't really a problem. It was just mostly the videos I would do with it. And honestly, I just think it's priced too high for what they're doing with it. And I already bought it, so like I'm already gonna keep it. But like, it's just their price point is just way off. I just don't understand why they had to do it like that. They could have priced it like $50 cheaper at like $6.99 or something. That would have been way more competitive if they just wanted to not penny pinch all of us and just save a little bit of money. If they could just, be like, we'll just take off $50 and then we'll just maybe get more people who could buy the iPhones. I mean, their analytics team know way more than me, but it's just crazy that they would do something like that. Now, going from an iPhone 10 to an iPhone XR, there are some advantages. I've already done a full comparison, so if you want to see that, I'll try to link it down in the description if I remember, but if I don't, then just go back to like a couple videos down. But going from an iPhone 10 to an iPhone XR, there might be a little bit of a speed increase. You have the same amount of RAM on both, but you do have a little bit of a lower resolution screen on the iPhone XR, so that means there's just not as many pixels on the screen versus the iPhone 10, so there's a little bit of difference there as well. But the biggest difference, I would say, and the biggest advantage for the iPhone XR is definitely the battery life. You are getting a much better battery life and a bigger battery size on the iPhone XR versus on the iPhone 10. So you're going to be able to use your phone a lot more. And that's one thing I kind of had to keep in mind to myself. I'm like, man, my iPhone 10's battery life, it's not horrible. I mean, I could definitely get a day out of it. But I've noticed with like iOS 12, my battery's starting to go a little bit down for sure. I mean, it's a lot smoother of an experience, but the battery life isn't as good as it used to be. And it's got me kind of, thinking of going to the iPhone XR every so often. So sometimes if I'm like at like my school or something and I'll just randomly pop in my head like, man, maybe I should just use the iPhone XR every once in a while. But it's just too much of a process. I mean, I just don't like the bezels around the screen. It's a little bit thicker, but I mean, would I be willing to sacrifice the screen, the bezels, everything for a little bit better of battery life? I mean, that's a question I have to ask myself, and I don't know. I mean, I already have it. I've already spent the money on it. But just one more thing that I don't understand, like if I'm willing to give those things up to go for the iPhone XR. Now, that's pretty much the biggest advantage, I'll say. But again, like I shouldn't have to question myself when I have to spend more money on a phone. Technically this phone should be an upgrade because it's the newer phone, and even though it's a budget phone, quote unquote, it's not a budget priced phone, and it's just a budget in terms of the material it's made out of and everything. And again, like I said, there's no urgency, and I don't even think if you have an iPhone 8 Plus or even an iPhone 8, I don't think you should upgrade there either. I've already done videos on that, different comparisons. I just don't think it's worth the upgrade just because the speed increase, honestly, I don't remember like exactly, but I think my performance I had on the A Plus was up to par with the 10R. I think maybe they were like hand in hand. They have the same amount of RAM. I mean, you have the A12 Bionic on the iPhone 10R, but I really don't think it's like that crazy of a speed increase. Definitely the iPhone 8 Plus holds its own compared to the iPhone 10R. And even if I had the 8 Plus as my main phone, which I could use too, I mean, I have an iPhone 8 Plus as well. I just don't use it either because I make them for these videos. I don't think there's an upgrade there either. You're losing the secondary lens, you're losing the screen, and going from there, I mean, even if I had the 8 Plus, like I said, I probably wouldn't even upgrade there either. Now, the iPhone 8 is a little bit of a different story. It's a lot smaller. I mean, it's a little bit more smaller than what I want to be. You know, I like the iPhone 10 size. The iPhone 8 Plus is a little bit better. The iPhone 10R size is definitely much, much better, but just the price is just the killing aspect. It's just not that good of a price point. And when you have an iPhone 8, you're kind of giving up some things too. I mean, Force Touch, you're giving that up. I feel like the build quality on the iPhone 8 feels better than on the iPhone 10R. I mean, if you had to choose between the two, definitely pick the iPhone 10R. I'm not saying the iPhone 10R is a worse phone than the iPhone 8. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is that if you already have an iPhone 8, it's not worth your time even to go and upgrade to it. I'm not hating on the iPhone 10R. I own it. I like it. There's just no upgrade there. Now, I would say if you have an iPhone 7 Plus, and this is where you guys are going to be like a little bit surprised because I usually haven't even recommended this phone. But I just found out yesterday when I did my camera comparison between the 7 Plus and the iPhone 10R that there's quite a bit of difference between those, okay? I would say the camera quality on the iPhone 10R going from an iPhone 7 Plus is going to be a humongous upgrade in and of itself. And that's not even including things like the software updates and the speed increases and the better battery life as well. I mean, that's pretty big improvements there. So if I still had my iPhone 7 Plus and I bought this iPhone 10R, I would probably end up using it as my main phone. If I didn't want to spend too much money on the new market, I would probably end up getting it because going from an iPhone 8 Plus to an iPhone 10R is just not that big of an upgrade at all. But the 7 Plus I realized is that sweet spot. So even the 7 Plus, I'm like, okay, if you want to, you can. That's a little bit more understandable. But at that point, I would probably say if you have an iPhone 7 Plus, it's definitely worth an upgrade. I mean, if you have an upgrade on your line, if you're about to get a new phone or something like that, if it's honestly between an iPhone 10R or like an iPhone 8 Plus, I would probably just go up to the iPhone 10R in my opinion, just because you do get that extra year of software updates and everything like that. If you have an iPhone 7, of course, you know, and so on and so forth. So at first I was like, the speed increase might not be that much, and it really wasn't that crazy of amounts of difference. I mean, they both have the same amount of RAM as well, like I said, between the 7 Plus and the iPhone 10R. But once I started doing these camera tests between them, the photo qualities are completely different. I mean, I'm so surprised by how well the iPhone 10R's camera holds up compared to phones like the iPhone 7 Plus and so on and so forth. The phone's lower than that. But it's funny because once you go to the iPhone 8, 8 Plus, and iPhone 10, those camera qualities are pretty decent, and there's really not too much of an upgrade there either. And of course, like, I could go and just return it. I can't return it anymore. I mean, I was thinking like, should I just return it? But I'm like, no, I already returned those iPhone XS and the XS Max, so there's really no point in returning it. I might as well just keep it, bite the cost. I mean, like I said, the phone already paid for itself from the videos I already made about it. So it's, if anything, it's like a tax write-off. You know, I like the iPhone 10R. I think it has a place in Apple's lineup. I've already done so many videos on it. It's just, once I made that first video about it, of why the iPhone 10R was a waste of money, it's just everyone started painting me this paintbrush of just like negativity and like bad vibes on the iPhone 10R. And guys, I never meant it in like a horrible way. I just kind of said like, price per value and price per dollar, it's just not worth it. And people are still saying that I was right. And I think, you know, I don't think I was right or wrong. I was just stating an opinion, and later on I made another video how the iPhone 10R was a very good spending of money and all those things. So in reality, I mean, I don't think I was right or wrong. I was just voicing an opinion, and later on I kind of cleared it up, and I'm still clearing up. Like, I still have this stereotype, and I don't hate the iPhone 10R, guys. I obviously don't. I own the iPhone 10R. Why would I hate on a phone that I own? I just like critiquing on it, you know, and I think in order for Apple to improve and everything, I feel like I would have to own this phone in order to actually find the problems and make videos about it. So that's really the main reason why I own it and why I still own it, even though I don't use it, is so I can make videos and I can talk to you guys about it. And if I find something crazy about it, if I find a hardware problem or software problem, I can address it and it can get fixed. For all those people who do own the iPhone 10R, even though it's kind of a waste of money on my part, I just think it's pretty important on the grand scheme of things. And that is pretty much why I don't use my iPhone 10R and why I still own it, even though I don't use it. So that's pretty much where I'm going to leave it at. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, leave it down in the comment section below. This was completely free thought. I like put down a few notes on my notepad and I just really went on this rant. I was not expecting to go this long. I thought there was going to be like a 4-minute video, but I guess it just went on to what it was. But if you guys have any questions, like I said, whether you agree with me or disagree with me, leave it down in the comment section below. Hit that like button. That'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. This is an exclusive, guys. I was not going to even put this in the end of the video, but I'm planning on doing another giveaway very, very soon, like within like probably a month from now, or even like a couple weeks. And this one's gonna be crazy. All right, don't tell anybody. No, I'm just kidding. You guys can. That's just so stupid of me to say. I'm trying to do like a giveaway, because the last giveaways were super long, because I kind of have to like drown it out, because you know at the time I couldn't really afford to get too many things, but now the channel is pretty healthy. So I'm saying like I might be able to give away like a certain iPhone like every week for like a month, and just kind of see how that goes. I mean, we'll probably like, I still have to kind of work out the details. I'm going to figure that out, but it's going to be something like that. Either like a giveaway for like 3 weeks straight or like a month, and we'll just see how it goes. But yeah, I can't wait for that. Check out the links in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel that is also linked down below. But more importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.